This is Diablo 3. We're here on Xbox Series X, where the new update has brought back a high-quality experience for us to enjoy on the next generation platform. So be sure to, well, like the video, subscribing's great as well, and let's dive into what we have here. So there was an issue where this was literally the only game that was from the 1X Enhanced era that made its way to Series X that was actually downgraded. And that really wasn't great. That wasn't the best. But now, the 1X enhancement has essentially been restored. So what are we getting here on Series X? We're getting a native 4K resolution, essentially. It's dynamic resolution scaling, but it was hitting native 4K basically all the time with the 1X. So, you know, it's a native 4K resolution at 60 FPS with auto HDR support. So what is this experience? Well, this is the ultimate dungeon crawling action that is, well, basically the Diablo franchise. The fourth Diablo is, you know, on the way at this point in time. But until then, we have Diablo 3, and this is something that actually keeps getting support and updates so many years later. It is genuinely surprising that that is the case. But yeah, here we are, continuing to dive into the world of Diablo, which features a large selection of monsters, enemies, and foes for you to tackle across a number of lengthy acts with very distinct environments that allow for a lot of replay, because the areas are, you know, to some degree, I guess you would say, a bit procedural. There's different scenarios, different setups, and every time you jump in, the battle's a little bit different. You know, you'll still fight similar enemies in similar regions and whatnot, but the world itself is actually quite dynamic. It's got an intense godly-esque story to it, where you go about gathering gear, gathering loot, fighting alone, fighting with others online if you'd like to. It really is quite an expansive experience. And then there is just a ton of replay value to this. You can just keep on going and going and going. Battlefields of Eternity. Let's do the Pandemonium level 2. But there really is just like a ton of stuff. And it all loads pretty fast and it all looks really good. And it's all upgraded in really nice ways. I mean, I think they did a fantastic job with this experience. And I think it's still something a lot of people play to this day, to a degree, you know, depending on the platform. I don't know if there's as many console players these days. I tried to join some lobbies, wasn't really jumping in, but then again, most people are probably playing, you know, on their whatever super level thing and whatnot. Because, you know, basically you could play the game and then you could play again, and you just try to gather more intensive looting and whatnot, and it's an expansive experience. I mean, Diablo is massive, right? Like, this is a very, very well-known franchise, and I'm not really bothering too much on collecting loot or anything. I really don't need it. You know, I'm just not that intensive about it. There's also, like, different bounties you can go in and do, and there's different, you know, missions and different objectives and different challenges, and there's a lot of lore, and there's some fun hidden surprises and silly things that can happen in different level scenarios, and tons of enemies to grind and monsters to fight, companions to have. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I played this back when it first launched, or a little bit after I think it first launched, but for console. And my one pal was really into it, so I was like, okay, I'll get this. We'll dive in, we'll play together. And you know, I had fun with it. I think we found one guy online, and he essentially just took me through the whole game in like an afternoon or something. It was pretty intense. It was very high level, where it's just like kind of rushing us through the whole game. But the biggest thing to note is that it does look much better. Because, you know, again, I did a video where I was showing off Diablo 3 running on the Series X without that upgraded version, where it kind of made everything look really lower res. I think it was like running at like 1080p at the time. So, you know, to have this actual crisp resolution here is fantastic. It's not necessarily like fully optimized for the platform or anything, which, you know, is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, if we're getting 4K 60 here, what more are they gonna do? You know, they could maybe improve some elements of the environment, I guess, or maybe give us an even higher frame rate. That would be awesome. But I'm happy with what we've got. I do wonder, well, maybe it's not possible, but if there was an FPS boost applied to this, I wonder if you could get the, you know, the Xbox One 1080p inherited version, get that running at 120 or close to. That would be pretty spectacular, I think. I mean, yeah, that would be nice. And, you know, since then, I've worked through, it was a Diablo 2, you know, the upgraded, brand new version of Diablo 2, where you can go back and forth. The resurrected version. And that was a lot of fun to do, actually, sitting there with a buddy and working through all of that. So I am actually excited about the future of Diablo. I'll probably get even more into it when we do eventually get, you know, that Diablo follow-up, especially with it going to be under, you know, the Xbox brand down the road. It's really exciting. Like, Diablo is an iconic franchise, you know? I'm sure most people realize that. They've been playing it for, you know, decades at this point. But, yeah, it's really exciting to see, you know, Diablo all upgraded and improved here. I mean, I think this is all just running quite perfectly well, and it was in the past. I think the biggest shocking thing for me was the fact that it took them so long to get this fix out. I'm almost a little disappointed that it did take them so long. You know, this is one of their crown jewels. I know it's probably not as played as it was, you know, back in the day when it first launched and whatnot, but it's still like a pretty heavily played title. And for like the legacy of the Xbox platform here, especially with this, you know, being like going to be an eventual first party title, you would want this running optimally on the platform, right? So, oh, this is like okay, we got like a boss type guy in here. No big deal. They're all pretty like weak compared to my character at this point. So it's not really, you know, much of a problem to take on these guys. I wonder if that's actually better. Oh, might actually be better there. That's all green stance up. I mean, I don't really care to adjust my skills. We're mostly just showing this off so you can see the, you know, the differences and whatnot. But I think we might. I'm trying to find like another waypoint here. We're sort of hoping to slink in and out of different areas to show the performance and whatnot. But it looks like we've got ourselves a lot of enemies that need to die. Seriously. Lots of foes. But that's the thing, you know, you get a lot of things going on the screen at once. You got a lot of enemies and stuff going on. It can get pretty hectic and intense, but it all seems to handle quite well, which is really, really nice. I mean, at the time, like, the 1X upgrade was also fantastic. I think that added a lot to the experience. For that platform, it was a pretty big deal. It was kind of also showing off just what, you know, that console could do. I thought that was quite nice. But then again, the game itself, if you really think about it,
Patience.
has been out for a very, very long time, right? Like, Diablo 3 has been around for just absolute ages at this point. From, like, releasing on PC and then the console, and then, you know, us also having it on console for so long is kind of crazy. Can we just move around in here? Let's see. There you go, that's the menu. See, that's one thing that is weird, is like the menu look at my character. It's like the shield, like, why does it look so like low res and stuff? Very, very strange. I'm just like, you know, why is that so low res? But that's the only thing I've noticed that's weird on this one, is that particular thing. But let's go, I'm trying to think of like a cool kind of place. We're in Pandemonium, Passage to Corvus. I'm assuming everybody's seen all of this stuff at some point down the road. The High Heavens. I don't know, the lower realm of internal fate? That might be a cool spot. Like I said, I don't really remember all of this stuff. I think I played through it, like, back in, I don't know, 2014 or something like that. Like, it's, you know, it's been a while since I played through this one. Oh, and gameplay-wise, if you're not familiar with Diablo, like, I mean, some people could be playing this for the first time. You kind of, you know, you pick your character class. As you could tell here, I've got like Arcana, I'm level 70 and a Paragon level is kind of where I'm going with my thing. But you could be like a Paladin, you could be like a Crusader. There's all kinds of options, right? 7 character classes or something like that.
Not yet.
monk, necromancer. Oh, maybe I'm not actually a paladin in this. Barbarian, crusader, demon hunter, monk, necromancer, witch doctor, or wizard are all tasked with defeating the Lord of Terror, Diablo. So what am I in this? I might be a crusader. You know what?
Out of room.
Diablo 2. I was the paladin there. I wonder what the paladin equivalent would be. And this is set 20 years after the events of Diablo 2, so this kind of, I guess you would say, continues those moments into the future, which is kind of exciting. Yeah. And again, it carries a similar visual style, the collecting of weapons and the grinding of tools, cooperative play, drop in, drop out, all that kind of stuff. And hardcore difficulties and differing challenges as you continue to fight along and take on the demons and monsters. We talked about our little follower companion as you've been seeing him. Oh yeah, there's the auction house, which was pretty cool. I'm just kind of going over some more notes here. Ooh, somebody broke through the wall. Oh, they're all dead anyways. Yep. Pretty crazy. Barbarian, wizard, monk, demon hunter. I must be the right now. Oh, and the big thing about this one was the Reaper of Souls expansion was kind of a big thing, where you essentially, it was like a huge upgrade. I mean, that's like a traditional thing for Diablo, right? Is where they add like a big expansion experience to it. Yeah, and that's the version I have, the Reaper of Souls or whatever. Oh, what are these ugly corpse worms? Ew. A little grotesque, those monsters. But yeah, you just kind of go around mulching things, and like I said, nothing's going to be too challenging to me because I'm kind of over-leveled for this area, or, well, for this particular difficulty. But I also like that when I'm going back to and playing through stuff through, like, just quick videos. It's just being like, hey, look, I'm godly at this. This is the way. But yeah, I usually fight big bosses, fight big creatures, fight tons of monsters. You can replay things to such a high degree, like I was mentioning. That's where the magic of Diablo is. It's just like, you know, hey, you go through here, it's tough, and you go through again, it's tougher. You get better stuff. And it's the loot grind that keeps the action and the intensity and the love of this game going. It's just the fact that you are able to get so much value in game time out of this. And then obviously, you know, Blizzard being pretty legendary for their experiences, I definitely think this one was fairly iconic for most people. I'm pretty sure it was well loved. I mean, it's Diablo, right? The franchise itself is pretty well known. And like I said, if you kind of find this one interesting, because I do, you know, I suggest checking this out. I do think it's a pretty good game if you missed out on it. But I would also say if you like this one, check out the Diablo 2 Resurrected. I had a lot of fun playing that. It is really cool in that game. Basically, you're able to switch between, you know, the original version. Like, assuming you haven't seen it, I've got a video and a review of it up on the channel. Actually, we streamed the whole thing as well. But yeah, if you've never seen it, you're able to switch between the original version of the game and the new upgraded, like, remade version of it, which is so cool. It would actually be really fascinating if someday, you know, they do a similar thing for this game. I don't know if this game is quite up to that sort of legacy level, but that would be utterly fascinating to see, like, these visuals, which I think look really good for now. I mean, obviously, a lot of time has passed, and I think they could, you know, upgrade these graphics a lot if they really wanted to, which they're not going to, right? Let's be real here. But it would just be really interesting to see something where I'm like, oh wow, this looks really good, and then being like, you know, comparing it to the future, or a future version being like, wow, this is quite a difference over time. So that's always fun, is seeing those comparison type scenarios come up here. It's just kind of fun diving into this, smashing through all these monsters. We're killing like the whole tree society here. I feel like in Lord of the Rings, but I'm the orc. Ooh, Bejortor. Good. He's a giant bear monster, this thing. It feels entirely fresh to me, because I literally forgot like everything about this almost. Oh, that was the bounty. Nice. Replay value, guys. That's what it's all about.
You can only
Power
carry
bites.
so much on the crusade.
I have nowhere to store this thing. Oh, there's the skills. I got slash, different offensive points and whatnot. There's my follower. I don't have any like cool gear for this guy. What kind of like sword does he have? Taldrins. Wow, shouldn't he have like a better sword? Shouldn't I have a better sword? I've literally just like I've got Scourge, but I've got like a big stabby thingy in it. Wow, I've got a lot of different weapons that are like kind of better than what I have, but I have runes and all this stuff. Can I like destroy this? No. Okay, well maybe we should give this guy like, you know, anything better. Maybe that's why he keeps getting like just slaughtered out there, is the fact that he literally just does not have anything. Like his, you know, he's got like a 9 shield. Even if I give him some of my weak shield, it's like infinitely better than what he had. War Revenge. Yeah, sure. Wow. I've just been like leaving this guy for dead, basically. I've just what was going on here, you know? was basically just ignoring my teammate there almost. The Reflective God Brace. Do I even have shoulder stuff? Ring, feet, belt, hands, shoulders. Yeah, I guess we could give him some shoulders, because that's just like, yeah, look at him now. He doesn't look so weak now. I should really take a second and actually, well, I mean, I'm probably not going to play too much past this, but if I visit this again down the road, I should certainly give my follower some stuff. Did you see the weak gear he had? I guess maybe I just didn't care and he was just like a secondary person to get killed, but maybe he can hold his own now and not die in 2 seconds. Like, I literally had him out here fighting these, like, tree monsters with, like, a twig. Like a weak twig.
My wrath is low.
No wonder he was just dropping dead every 2 seconds. I mean, the more experienced players probably saw that and they're like, oh, that poor follower. But, yeah. Now he's good now, though. Yeah, let's break this rotten log, why not? Killing everything we can. And hopefully just showing it off, you know, just for the the crispness of the experience. I guess you could also kind of ride through things with your horse, but just kind of letting it play, just so you can see all of, like, you know, all the different enemies getting, like, cut up and stuff. The upper halls. Halls of agony. Oh, I wonder what was dragged in there. I'm hoping for a waypoint. I don't know if I want to show off like the heavenly lands, because those places, like, I mean, we're kind of in that like realm thing, but there are some like shinier, I guess you would say, less destroyed areas, and there's also some more volcanic type parts too. But I think this kind of shows off a good range of different areas well enough. I mean, if it doesn't, I'm always down to play some more Diablo. That's for sure. Always down to do further gameplay, showing off areas. But, you know, the biggest thing is it looks much more crisp. You know, I think they did a great job with this restoration of the resolution quality. Should it have taken this long? Nah, probably not. That's a definite thing. But I am glad it is here. So now we have no games that have any sort of downgrade, I guess you would say. Seriously, like, this was the only game that was actually, like, downgraded between, you know, that generational change. Which is so weird. How did it happen? I have no idea. Apparently a glitch of some sort, but the fact it did, it's just bizarre. But here we go, really getting it upgraded. I wonder if they will do, like, a next-gen version of this game at some point. I am intrigued by that. Like, I mean, it's like kind of limiting returns would be the biggest thing, right? Like, they could maybe get like an even more juicier resolution going on. They could get maybe a higher frame rate being unlocked, but unless you were doing something substantial like adding like a huge expansion, I think there is probably a diminishing return in that regard. It looks like we gotta go this way. Should we grab this helmet?
I can't carry anymore.
I can't carry anymore. That's alright. There's always another helmet somewhere, right? That's what matters. I know. Happy with this update, though. Glad to see it finally available. I hope this guy showcased it off well and gave you an idea of the action that is Diablo 3 going on here.